Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming here to our podcast. Can I call you, do I call you Isis?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for coming here, Isis. This is a heroes podcast where I talk to heroes um, about themselves, about what they're into. Maybe we'll find new things to get into, but I'm a huge fan of yours. And I can't really believe, I'm like very starstruck right now. I can't believe I'm talking to you. I guess my knowledge of anything about you was I had heard the music, the Source family music at some point, and didn't, I don't think most people think about where the music they're listening to comes from. And then the book came out and it just completely blew my mind. I had no idea that anything so cool existed in the world. And then, as you know, we interviewed Jody a couple weeks ago, and the movie is one of my favorite movies ever. I love it so much. I didn't really think about it as being actual people because it was just a movie to me. And the more I thought about it and the more I've been doing these interviews, I'm like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I can talk to these people. So I really can't believe you're here. Thank you so much for coming here. And thank you for doing all of your documenting. It's changed my life. And I'm sure there's many people's lives who have been changed by you. So thank you.
Wow. Well, I'm just as shocked as you are that we're all here. I mean, I just turned 80 and who knew, right?
Happy birthday.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool. And I think there's so many. I would just first say, everyone, you have a scrapbook that just came out on Sacred Bones, and I recommend everyone get that. But I really recommend everybody to watch the movie, because it's I mean, just all of the different things, everything you see, everything you hear, like that was all pretty much documented by you. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's so cool. Like, I think it's not that weird for people now that everyone has phones to film and photograph things and capture memories, but I've always carried like a film camera before there were phones, and it's just something that it's always felt like it's really in my blood I just feel compelled to document stuff. I'm not exactly sure why. And Jody said that your dad was a documentarian as well. Do you think that's where you get it from, or what do you think about that?
No, both.
Okay.
I feel like I've documented, recorded, been part of that genre many incarnations.
Okay.
So when I incarnated into my family, I was allowed apparently to incarnate into something that would benefit me and be familiar for my path this lifetime. So my father was chief of documentations for the Air Force, which means his crew documented, filmed everything. That's who they went to.
Wow.
Yeah, so I grew up being documented. I grew up having my picture taken from as far as I can remember my whole life.
Right.
It was not an unusual concept for me.
Okay.
Like you, I always carried a camera around. And so it was just natural when I, found Father and joined the Source family. And I saw how amazing it was, what was happening and what was coming down. It had to be documented. It could not be missed.
Yeah.
It was like a cultural happening. It was a renaissance. It was like so much happening.
Yeah, and visually stunning.
Yeah, and the 60s and 70s were just like a time out of time,
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was had no choice,
Right.
I documented and preserved and basically saved the legacy. But Father told me, Father Yod, when I joined the family, he said, done this many times together. And he said, we made commitments before reincarnating to do this. That made total sense to me,
Yeah.
you know. And so I never looked back. You know, I left everything, and that was that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I read that you're from DC and Florida, and I guess more importantly than that is that do you think that all of our incarnations have already happened and we're just experiencing this right now for some reason, or do you think there's a past and a future, or how do you feel about that?
I never thought of it that way, but no, I don't.
Okay.
I feel like right now, because we're on planet Earth, this is this incarnation, I feel like it's a school. Earth, you know, Earth is a school. We're in a classroom. And our goal is to get a passing grade, you know,
Okay.
pass our exam this incarnation around so that we can get on with it, you know, better our next one. And
Okay.
so the planet's on many different levels of school. You know, there's preschool, there's kindergarten, there's elementary, there's high school,
Yeah,
you know, college. So we're not all on the same grade level. You
that
know,
makes sense.
it
Yeah.
does make sense
Yeah.
because like some people just don't get it. Well, they're not supposed to, they're not ready yet.
Right.
You
And I
know,
guess I'm just curious, when you say that you chose your family structure for the things that do you feel that you chose that for the things like you inherently knew you could learn from them, or how do you sort of explain
yes,
that?
I would be within the safety of that. I would learn, I'd be protected. It was something that would nurture me for my future. And, you know, all the other stuff that came with it was definitely a learning process. With who
Yeah.
my brothers and sisters ended up with, who my mother ended up with, which was a saint.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I think a lot of people are starting to sort of feel that way, that there's an intentional thing that's you're here to learn, and that you chose not everyone chose and not everyone gets to, I guess, but that some people chose to.
We do choose.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
we leave the body and we have that oversoul, we do choose what would be our best learning experience, environment, and the best situation for that incarnation. You know, they say we do choose our parents, we do choose our circumstances, you know, and
Yeah.
maybe it's not exactly what we wanted, but we figure out how to work around it, either get out of it or go with it or
Right.
learn from it. You
That's
know,
so cool.
everybody's got payback one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess one thing I wanted to ask you is, can you explain the river of life?
Sure.
Like when you leave your body, you said you look at your river of life. What is that?
Well, they say when you leave your body, you review your life like a movie. It all passes before your eyes, so make it worth watching.
Oh, wow.
And was just not our belief. It's been a long held tradition in many religions, many mystery schools, many occults, you know, that you do leave the body and you review your river. And you see what your passing grade is, you see the mistakes you made, and you see it in a very non-judgmental way because it's your soul and you are separated from this incarnation. So you're very clear, the clarity is very clear in what you're watching, what you were supposed to get out of it, and what you're supposed to learn, and what you're going to do better next time, you know.
Yeah. And do I call him Father Yod, or how would, okay.
Yeah,
The Father Yod, I mean, for me, reincarnation, and as I told you, we just made a record all about reincarnation, I guess, at the core of it, and mainly that this is a record. The band made a record so that we can send messages to our future selves. And I
Okay.
guess,
Somebody just rang my doorbell. Nobody
okay.
ever rings my doorbell.
Oh,
Let
no.
me just check. real
Yeah,
quick.
please.
I don't know. Should I? Would that be inappropriate?
No, not if it's not for you, please go.
Oh, that was crazy. Somebody
Oh.
wrote the package, but you know, with the theft right now, it's like you can't leave anything outside.
Oh, is it bad?
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. No.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's bad everywhere.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Uh,
But well,
Moving on.
yeah, no, I'm just curious how much, yeah, is that I feel for some reason at this point that this is that the record we made is about reincarnation and just to send our future selves a message. And we tried to put stuff in the record and on the record that would be that would call out to us regardless of where we were or what we were doing in the future. And I guess I just want to know more about how you all discussed your past and future incarnations.
Well, you know, there's something called the Akashic records. Are you familiar with that?
A little bit, yeah. The
The
conceptual.
same thing. It's like it's got, when you can tune into the Akashic records, or when you are at a vibration enough to be able to enter it, it's like a mystery school. It has everything there, all the wisdom, and it gives you what you need. So what you're doing on the human earth level is the same thing as being able to access the Akashic records. And I think that's a really good idea, because you never know hundreds of years and from now what people find, what survives. You know, I look at stuff all the time from 100, 150 years ago, newspaper articles, and I go, they look so familiar.
Wow.
I could be looking at myself 100, 200 years ago.
Yeah.
I get drawn to certain things. So who knows, by what we do now, what we keep, what we leave behind. I think that's important.
Yeah. And was there, was that a big part of what you all talked about and
Yes.
your experience in the family? Yeah.
Past, the present, and the future. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I guess one thing I wanted to ask you also is, I think one thing that I think most people want to know about these types of situations is that, you know, I've only ever met one person where physically their energy, I could feel from so far, like just a huge energy that was amazing to be around. I couldn't explain it, that kind of thing. I guess, can you explain what it was like to be around Father Yod and
what explained it?
Okay.
Just explained it.
Yeah, just can you talk about the energy of someone like that?
But it's just I knew him as Jim Baker. I knew him before Father Yod.
Okay.
Actually, I was friends of his wife at the time, and he had another famous restaurant called the Old World.
Okay.
And he was awesome. He was a Hollywood legend before he even became Father Yod or the Source. You know, but we connected, but we really didn't connect. It was like, that wasn't, at that time, he was not my path.
Right.
You know, and I moved on and I became engaged to a rock and roll photographer, and we had a studio, and I was just fine with that. You know, I never thought that would ever change.
Right.
We were looking for Jesus Christ, looking people for a photo shoot. And somebody said, you know, your friend Jim Baker opened up the Source. He's now called Father. All kinds of Jesuses running around there, long hair and beards. And I went, yeah, I haven't seen Jim in years. Yeah. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to scout out some people for our shoot. And I'll tell you, I stepped onto the Source patio. It was in the early days of the Source. And he came walking out, and he wasn't Jim Baker, he was Moses.
Wow.
Absolute, right on, there you go, Moses, you know? And
Yeah.
something in me changed. It was like, I felt like I was like uncoded. I felt like I'd been
Wow.
coded with him up to that point. And then all of a sudden it felt like we both merged and connected, and we both instantly knew, you know, what we were supposed to be doing and who we were. And that was our timing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I never looked back.
That's so cool. What, like, do you think that, I mean, you have as much to do with that as he did. I guess I just wonder, like,
Well, we both made the commitment before incarnating
yeah.
to do the work together at a certain time in this time frame's history.
Do you think people can pass by that if it's meant to be?
What do you mean pass by?
Like, not connect? Like, if, if
No, you will connect. You have the opportunity maybe not to pick up on it or do it or bypass it for some reason.
yeah.
You know, I do think that there are situations that get messy or messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, I'm just interested that you had your life, you were living it, and it felt perfectly right.
It was wonderful.
And yeah, and then this other whole layer, it seems
Yeah.
like, happened. And
It was my
yeah.
soul destiny and purpose. And when that clicks in, you have no choice. You know, you
Yeah.
better get on with it. You know
Yeah,
what's
for
good
sure.
you.
Is that the way everyone felt that met him?
You know, everybody has their own story, but it's all very similar. Yes.
Yeah.
They just knew. They were told to come to LA. They accidentally found the source as soon as they walked into the source and saw Father.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, we all have our story. There are people that drew pictures of him before they found him,
Wow.
you know? So we were all guided and led back to this incarnation with him. And he always said, you know, he gathered us. He gathered us long before we even knew he was gathering us,
Yeah.
you know, to do this journey, this lifetime again together.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, the only other time I've really heard of that, of being like compelled to do something, or that most people talk about, is when they see UFOs or things like that, is just
Yeah.
being drawn to these things. And I wonder if you think
It's a higher, I don't even know the word I want to use. It's the veils get thin, so it's interdimensional.
right.
And there seems to be a better word for it than energy. It's more than energy, it's something else, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you know, we're all aliens. We're all star beings from other planets.
Yeah.
That's what the whole Starman graphic is about, you know, and symbols.
Yeah. Can you
And
talk a little bit about that? I know on our emails you said that he felt, and you felt like you all were from Sirius, or
well,
from
he said that was his home planet. I always
okay.
thought that was my home planet.
Okay.
And he was gonna, I would say maybe there was a period where before he left the body, in morning meditations, he would talk about the planet Sirius, and he would say
Wow.
he's being drawn to it, and he would have visions and he'd have conversations, and you know, he said, I'm going to be going, when I leave this time, I'm going back to Sirius to prepare our next home.
Wow.
You know, and many of us absolutely still believe that.
Yeah, I guess I told you that we have a song called Journey to Dog Star that we just
Yeah.
wrote, and that's why I think this is so interesting, because I don't know why, these, like, it's art, so I don't exactly know where from it is coming. I know that it was like important, and I know that these the record's called Islands in the Sky, and I was like sick.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I just thank you, but I was sick for like 6 months, and I just kept waking up with this message to take care of the islands, and I was like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know what it means. I have little pieces of it, but not the full thing. So I'm like, what,
Means your soul wants to remember and reconnect. So you have to take care of your connection in this physical body while the veils are thin, to the other dimensions, the interdimensional worlds.
Yeah.
And Sirius is the dog star. Dog backwards is God, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's also the guiding star of the pyramids. So it's always over that middle pyramid, and that tells you something.
Yeah.
And it's also the Star of Bethlehem. Whether you believe in Jesus or not, it's a symbolic reference to Sirius, was that guiding star.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Did you, I guess one question is not that important, but as far as being Isis Aquarian, did Father Yod give you that name in particular for a reason? And was that the only name you were given, or how did that work?
Well, there was a point in the family where we didn't, we weren't who we were when we came in.
Right.
We all wanted different names to fit our different lifestyle. And so it came down that we would get new names. And so, Father started giving out a few names. And sometimes people would say, I vibrate to you, and they would name themselves.
Oh,
that
cool.
was very few. We basically wanted to be named more than pick our name.
Yeah.
There was a philosopher named Manly P. Hall.
Yeah.
Who has the Philosophical Research Center.
Yeah.
And he was very big at the time, and he was actually one of Jim Bakker's mentors.
Cool.
And I had been to the PRS, and I didn't know Manly, but I had gone to some of his classes. But his book called The Secret Teachings of All Ages was the Bible for the hippies, the flower children, the whole 60s and 70s. Everybody had that book because it was spiritual archived for us to be able to visually see, because there were so many graphics and paintings and symbols in it, beautiful stuff, and then also the explanations. So one day Father just said, I'm going to go see Manly at the PRS. And a group of us went with him. And Manly P. Hall had made a list with 50 names on it. And when we got there, he just handed the list to Father.
Wow.
I know, that's the way things were in those days. It was, right? So he said, go back and name your family these names. And on that list was Isis.
That's so
and I was given that name, and I actually, tell you the truth, I had never heard of Isis.
Yeah.
And Osiris. I hated the name.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, oh my God, really? I just actually, I refused it.
Ooh.
I mean, because it sounded so stupid.
Okay.
It really did. I absolutely did not want that name.
Okay.
And I wanted like a cool name, I don't know, like what, flower? I don't know.
Yeah, like
whatever.
What would be cooler? I think okay.
So he said, no, that's who you are, that's your name. So I went with it. And then of course I understood, it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool. That's one of someone I'm supposed to call in, and someone that I feel like I resonate and communicate with. So I think that's really cool. That's super cool. And also Aquarian, like I know that the people that weren't like you called people Piscean that were like squares and stuff. Can you?
Yeah, like, yeah, not with it.
Yeah, yeah,
The new spiritual awakening. And the
yeah,
next age was the age of Aquarius, which, like all the songs sing, we are the age of Aquarius, where,
yeah,
there'd be light and spiritual understanding and love and harmony and peace and from our soul and heart, which, wasn't really happening until the 60s and 70s hit.
yeah,
And the mindset of the 40s and 50s, the 40s were just coming out of the war with Hitler. And the
yeah.
50s, our parents were so, oh my God, unhealthy with their food, and they smoked, they drank, most of them were alcoholics,
Yeah,
you know. And there's no way we wanted that. And that's what everybody dropped out and formed that whole subculture of the 60s and 70s.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's so cool. Always sort of wonder, is there was such a like imposed, especially in the like the dream of America, but there was such an imposed idea. There 30s that was bad, 40s that was bad, and then the 50s was supposed to be ideal, but it was people.
It lacks spiritual understanding.
Yeah, and seemed like the whole thing was it was material
Yeah.
and to really fit into these roles, and that was success. And I feel like that had a huge negative impact on men and women and everyone. But that I think that it makes so much sense to me that people would seek out a family or seek out a father, seek out sisters and brothers in a time when your parents are so just determined to be not like loving beings, just be
Well, they were loving it, but they just didn't understand.
okay.
It was moving so fast that we had to leave. They couldn't keep up with us, and we had to leave,
Yeah,
and people did. They migrated to places like LA.
yeah,
England, there was, San Francisco, but it was mostly the LA area that it gave birth. It was like the manger that gave this whole thing birth.
yeah. Why do you think that is?
Because it's a sacred place. It's a ley line. It's a ley line that forms a pyramid with Egypt and Bethlehem. If you find the charts,
Okay.
there are sacred points on the earth, energy points, ley lines they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is I don't know where you are in Hawaii, but is that on one of the lines as well?
Yes, Hawaii
Okay,
definitely is. Yeah, Hawaii's always been known as a very special place.
Yeah.
And aloha is its mantra, and aloha means, peace. Hello, goodbye. We're all ohana, family, friends.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you I guess I'm just a little bit, what other places, like it's Los Angeles and San Francisco, and what
Even
are
San Francisco is kind of dark.
yeah.
They had more at the beginning of the hippie thing, but it was a lot of drugs and dark. So I almost don't want to include them on like the spiritual center was basically LA.
Okay.
With like Manly P. Hall Center, like all the centers sprouted up around the LA area.
Okay.
Spiritual center and groups of the time and things that were happening.
Yeah. That's cool. And you guys lived in Laurel Canyon? Or where did you live?
We lived in
like Hollywood in the hills?
Yeah. Hollywood Hills.
There's definitely magic there for sure.
Yeah, a lot of us had lived in Laurel Canyon.
Okay.
But the canyon was Laurel Canyon was just above, like you'd come down the canyon and you'd go right to the source. It was just like kind of all in that same area.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's so cool. I mean, I'm from here. I lived in New York for a while because I just had that thing of like, this isn't it. But now I'm back here and I feel like
where are you? LA?
Yes, I'm in Los Angeles,
Okay.
but yeah, I'm from here, so it's kind of uh I'd love to hear, I always knew people came here, but I didn't really know why. And I always just had a driving force in myself that it's like, you need to move to New York. That's the most important thing. But I didn't find what I was looking for there. But so now I'm back here. But the restaurant is just, something of such exciting lore, just like the dream. And to me, I've always felt like it's just funny because if I were to have my own group of people, they would have to serve food and they would have to work at a restaurant, because I feel like that's just, to me, like teaches you so much compassion and to be able to understand someone's needs before they even acknowledge that or even know themselves that they need it, and to feed people. I come from a long line of restaurant people, and there's just something so cool to me always about the idea of like
Food's always been part of, yeah, community, village, helping, learning. The Hebrews have it in the kibbutzes, you can go eat if you're hungry. Salvation Army with their free food.
yeah, well, it's
All the
interesting.
communes were open if you wanted
Yeah,
something to eat,
yeah, well, I think it's so strange how I guess that was one of the first like health food.
It was the first organic, not on the national country in America. It
Yeah,
wasn't a little store somewhere nobody knew about.
yeah,
It was
totally.
actually very, very famous.
It's so cool because it's just, even now it's not that even now it's not acknowledged how important diet is for your healing, which I think is the strangest thing in the world. But when I like hear about you guys and learn more about it, just the idea of how much respect there is for what you eat and how you go about your whole day, and being healthy is like at the center of what seems like, at least you started off doing. Seems like that, like, and I think that's what I just think is the coolest part, is about being healthy. It's not about,
It's respecting the vehicle that you were given to operate in this lifetime.
yeah,
It's taking care of, which is you have to. Yeah.
yeah. I think that's super cool. I think it still is like blows people's, like, maybe my
I guess
parents.
I don't know. I just get shocked when I think that this isn't a better understanding. Like when people say, "Gosh, what?" Because there's Whole Foods emerged from that, and there's in your area Cafe Gratitude.
Yep, that place
That
is
all
great.
came off of the source of what we did in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, well, I think it's just super cool and forward thinking, even though it shouldn't be. It makes, to take care of your vehicle, it seems like it would be the most obvious thing. But even like my parents, and no offense to them, but they're like, organic, it doesn't need to be organic. And it's like, yeah, when you were a kid, all food was organic, but
Yeah,
now it's it's not. So it's like, it's different now. And it's just these things, just how forward thinking it was to be healing by food is, in this country at least, is really forward thinking. I think that's really, really cool. And yeah, do you I guess one question I have is about the morning meditation. If can I ask a question about it? Yeah, is what exactly, what, or not exactly, but what was it? And is it, I think you recorded some of it and you can find it, but what was it?
Well, the morning meditations were basically a way for us all to connect together as one body, as one family, once a day, because then after that, people went to work. The women stayed at home and took care of the kids, or we had house duties. We had the band, they would go in the studio. And, after the morning, we didn't see each other. Everybody went basically different ways, came back at night, and we all went to bed very early because we got up early. So that was our time with Father. That was our time with each other. And that was time where Father would we would sit down and he would lead the way, and he knew where it was going to go. Sometimes it ended up, if there was energies that needed to get taken care of that hadn't been taken care of, they were brought up in front of the family and Father, and they got taken care of. It was a time where anybody could discuss anything, talk about anything if they needed to. But it was also a time to just to be together and share and listen to the new music that was coming down from the family.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, that was like, we had so much fun. People were able to dance and sing with it, and just, you know, have our time and our morning before we all went out and did whatever it is we were doing. And then it was also basically the time for Father to impart to us wisdom and teachings. That's how our teachings all came down, and the wisdom. And that's, and that's when I saw that happening. I definitely started recording, and I gave the camera to, you know, a couple of other people in the family. I just couldn't do everything that point.
For sure.
And we have, you know, 400 to 600 of those cassette tapes, and all of them are amazing because it's the real deal in real time. It's like time travel, and you could go back, and it's the real deal in the real time. And many of those tapes have been transferred into MP files, very easy to listen to.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I just wasn't, sorry, please.
And a lot of it, we got to share, you know, Father Yod Yehoah's time in life with him, to what was happening on his journey. Because we weren't familiar with the term at the time of channeling, but he actually ended up going into channeling things, and things were imparted to him. And he talked about Sirius. He talked about this one person that always waited for him on a path. And one time he went to him in a morning meditation. And when he came back, he said, yes, I met with him again on the path. And he was a keeper of the path to Sirius.
Wow.
And he kept saying to me, when are you going to come home?
Wow.
He would share things like that with us.
Yeah.
And at one time there was a dog that came to him, which was the Sirius dog.
Wow.
Like a lot of stuff started happening with that. And a lot of times other things would come to him, like he explained to us about UFOs and aliens. We used to watch them from our backyard.
Wow. In Hawaii?
No, in LA, in the
cool.
60s and 70s, many people's. Flying UFOs were a big thing back then. A lot of people witnessed them, saw them, thought they were abducted, whatever.
Yeah.
But he said, it's just not our time to be involved with it. That's not what we're supposed to be into. We're supposed to be into something else. He said, aliens they're just like us. They come from many different backgrounds, races. They're different in sizes. They're different in agendas. He said some of them are very tiny, 2 feet tall. Some of them are very tall, 14 feet.
Whoa.
And he said they're like all the planets. Each planet has their own agenda and their own hierarchy and their own thing, just like Earth does.
Right.
We're all part of a star system.
Yeah.
And so it didn't seem weird to us to believe in other planets, other beings, or other aliens, any more than it did us being on this planet and being one.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I guess that's really cool. Did he feel like he was it a meditative state where he was channeling from, or was he always channeling, or?
No, he wasn't always, but it would be a meditative state where he would actually leave who he was, his body.
Okay. And was there like a specific practice that he did to get there?
Not necessarily, no. It's like he knew when it was going to hit him. But it would be usually during morning meditation, because that's when we were all in a very pure state.
Yeah.
We're all very positive. We all had chanted and one of our practices was to take one hit of the herb, the marijuana, only in the morning. That's the only time we ever used it. And it was for spiritual purposes. We
Yeah.
called it the sacred herb. And so, our centers were somewhat opened by that to begin with. And it was usually 4 o'clock in the morning, which has always been a sacred time for monks.
Oh,
Or
cool.
for those early morning hours are the hours that most people aren't up, so you're not getting everybody's thought projections.
Yeah.
Very clear time, those 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Not a lot of interference, and it's clear. The channels are very clear. So
Did he feel, sorry to ask you questions,
that's what we're
but
doing.
did he feel like when that he, because I feel like I channel, but I don't have not in the same way. It's not a clear, I'm not a clear, it's in, different circumstances. I can channel through music. And I guess I wonder how much of the music was just playing, or was that channel?
The music was completely spontaneous, in the moment channeling.
Okay, cool.
That's why it's so well received. It's like you can't touch it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it carries that, it still to this day carries the vibration it was made in.
Yeah.
And
so music was that was a big part, because my only perspective is I read the book a long time ago, but my perspective is the movie, which I think obviously I think is amazing, but it doesn't focus on one thing too long or too much. But the music was a huge, can you talk about the music and how big of a part that was in your guys' life?
the music it brought us so much fun.
Okay.
And it was a teaching tool. It's like, it was a vibration that if you listen to, it's like when he played the gong, you can leave your body to it and go, you actually can go other places by the notes they played and what they played and how they played it. It's an instrument. And music is a universal language. It can, anybody in the world, you don't have to speak the same language to understand what you're listening to in music, as it hits your soul. So that's what we were basically creating music for, not only for us, but he said that long after I'm gone, I will still be teaching by people listening to this music. He imparted, wisdom into listening.
That's so cool. And it's true. I mean, it's definitely, a lot of people have heard it, and it's, people love it too, which is,
I love it. We all loved it, and Father loved it, and he had a great time with it. And it was, it was a lot of fun for him.
That's so cool. And I guess, you said in the movie that he said he hadn't released you from your duties. Do you still feel that way?
Well, not so much anymore, because we've done so much. And I made an agreement with him that I would help, by what I did in documenting, archiving, and saving the legacy, would save the legacy. And that was my commitment to him. So for the first 30 some years, no, I didn't feel like I was released because I hadn't saved the legacy. I had all the archives, but not, nothing was done with them. There was nothing out. And, but he's been with me. I've carried my thread with him.
Yeah. Well, it's an enormous amount of information, and being in the middle of it is not an easy place to start for anyone.
Just for me, it's been my life. It's been my goal and my commitment. I became completely committed to him, and still am, and I still remain, his wife. But the thing is now that we've had, the music's been out, the book came out, several other books are coming out. by other source family members, with their perspectives. Jody did the documentary. The end of March, I think we're having another event in LA, which is the photo book, the photocopy table book.
Oh, cool.
And it's
That's
just
so
nothing
exciting.
but my scrapbook of photos, exactly the way I did it in the family.
Yeah.
And it's just like the first of many we're going to do to release the photos. So I'm kind of feeling, you know what? I think it's pretty secured. UC Santa Barbara has the archives. So
Okay.
that did it right there. It's like it's preserved, it's going to be kept safe. Hundreds of years from now, people are going to be able to access it. Scholars will study it, students will study it, the press will be able to still get to it. And we just have thousands and thousands of slides and black and whites and prints and photos and, recordings of his morning meditation and the music. And it's just like they got it all.
Yeah.
At this prestigious Hamilton Library in Santa Barbara. And so I'm kind of feeling, we can let go of each other a little bit here,
Yeah.
But I'm 80, so what's there to let go of? It's not like, where am I going to go now?
Well, I think just as far as you, I think, conclusively have accomplished the mission. I think,
yes,
I think no one.
But I didn't do it alone, didn't I? I have not done it alone. And everybody in the family, by what they did, contributed to it. So I even had something to work with. So I have to give the family time credit. I have to give Father Yod credit.
Yeah, but you have to give you credit too, because
I do give myself credit.
Okay, good.
And then, when Jody, my source partner was electricity.
Yeah.
And in the family. And then Jody came aboard, and then she's, we did the book, we did the documentary, and she's like done so much. She's a legacy saver by doing this. And then my other partner, Charlie Kitching, who did this new book with me, it's like we're all legacy savers, sacred bones by even doing it.
Yeah. No, it's
doing it. Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, it's above or next to anything else. It's just amazing art, like all around. It's just super cool. Whether or not it's means more to anyone, it's so breathtaking. It's all amazing, and you guys did such a good job. And and I feel like Jody is so sweet and such an amazing person. I wasn't really expecting that. I don't know why, but it's always shocking to me. And you're super, super cool. I feel like I learned so much from you. And thank you so much for coming here. Are you going to be coming out to the
yes,
in
I was
March?
just going to say, but we have to get together.
Yeah, please. That would be amazing. Yeah, I will be there for sure. But I guess thank you so much for coming here. Is there anything else you would like to tell the universe?
No, I pretty well go just interview to interview, whatever that person pulls out of me or wants to know. I never prepare. So, whatever you want to ask is perfect for this podcast.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm just really happy to talk to you, and I feel like it's really cool just to be able to have this connection and get to know you. I really like the way you explain things, and I really appreciate your open-mindedness and just the way you can. What's that?
Thank you. I do have one thing.
Yeah,
because it's really kind of cool. When I flashed on it, I went, wow, I did not think of that.
Yeah,
like we're the old guard, but we're still standing with this next generation. And there's never been a time in history that I can figure out where the old merged with the new on the same platforms and levels. Like when I meet people like you or the younger people, we don't feel a difference with each other.
Yeah.
We're kind of all there together. And that, if you think about that, that's like, I don't know if that's ever happened where the old guard is standing still with the new guard, the next generation, and working side by side with the same mentalities and thoughts and goals.
Yeah, I don't know.
Think about that. Isn't that like really, come on?
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering, is that what the age of Aquarius is?
Yes, so we're just in the beginning of that.
So
We're all humanity in the planet, you know, where each is their own commitment and individual and being, but you know, it's the judgment is going by the wayside. And part of what has helped that is things like the Russian war with Ukraine and stuff, and the whole thing with the Mexican borders, and people asking for help and people wanting to help, and then people having to face their judgments about how they even think about it.
yeah.
It's like a whole new shift is happening, and it won't be our timing, our generation. I think we're going to have to wait another generation or two for it to be clear out and be a little more pure.
Okay, but this is like a crossover, you think?
This is definitely another crossover like the 60s and 70s were.
Yeah.
It's like a portal opened in the 60s and 70s, and we walked through it. It is happening right now again. Yes, you're absolutely right.
So this is like you being
another shift, a big shift.
Not changing of the guards, but the continuance of the guards is.
Yeah, we're not changing it, we're being part of it.
Yeah, I think that is really cool.
It is cool.
Yeah. And is it leaving? That's what I guess. Is it leaving Pisces and going into Aquarius, or?
No, we were in Pisces. Oh, geez. We're in the age of Aquarius now.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I don't know too much about, but I do. Yeah. Yeah, totally. But that's super cool. Well, yeah, thank you so much. And I can't wait to meet you in March.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.